Hi everyone, Jim here. Welcome to my channel. Before we get into the book haul, I do want to share with you what I started to read for Deadly December that I talked about in my last video. Yesterday I read The Black Mountain by Rex Stout. Now this was a great book. This is one I initially saw at the bookstore and I passed it up because it was marked at like $7 at a thrift store. And then when I thought more about it and I looked more into it, that this is a very important book in the Nero-Wolfe canon. So I went back and I paid the $7 and I bought this, and I'm glad I did. It was a very good book. It deals with a childhood friend of Nero-Wolfe's getting shot down on the streets of New York, and it's one of the very few books where Nero-Wolfe actually leaves his brownstone, and he not only leaves his brownstone, but he travels overseas to Montenegro, to the place of his birth. It's not only a murder mystery, but it's also deals with a little espionage. And it's set back, I do believe, in the 50s when the Cold War was going on. There was stuff going on in Europe and Italy where the communists were trying to take over, and the Tito sympathizers, and there was some rebellious groups also who were trying to fight for their freedom. So there was a lot going on in this book, and it was very different than the normal formula that Rex Stout does for the Nero-Wolfe books. And it was actually, I haven't read that many, and it was really a very, very interesting book. And I will probably deal more with it in a later video. I know I say that all the time, but I really, for this book and the books I will be reading for Deadly December, I want to get more into an in-depth review of them as I go through the month of December. But I wanted to share that with you before I got into the book haul. The book haul, I try to make these interesting for you. I mean, these are books obviously I want, but I also try to get a variety of books because I enjoy a variety of books, but I also want you guys to be interested in what I'm hauling here and what I'm showing you. Now, this particular book haul, I got a lot of Gothic vintage paperbacks, Gothic romances. Now, there's some here I actually question whether they can be called Gothic romance. Now, I got these Gothic paperbacks primarily because I've been watching Nick over at the Book Graveyard and the Paperback War. They've been doing a show together where they talk about Gothic paperbacks. Now, they would know more about these than I do. I've always had a few of them on my shelf, but I never really, physically went out to collect these things, but I'm starting to do that now. I'm trying to pick them up wherever I see them. Now, this other day when I went to the thrift store, I was lucky enough that some books had just been put out on the shelf, and as I was picking them up off the shelf, the book lady was actually bringing more out and stocking the shelves with these things. So I was in the right place at the right time, and I snagged every one of them that I could. So I'm going to share these ones with you. Now, these first 5, I really don't know if you could call these Gothic romance. I think they're more regarded as romantic suspense. But the covers, they're painted in the style of the Gothic romance covers, but the subject matter is more modern than a mansion in the background with a moon. And so anyway, these next 5. Here's the first one, called Dark Intent by Ray Foley. This is a Dell paperback. Now, the background in this, there's no mansion in the background, no moon, no howling wolf, but there is a woman on the cover. But the window behind her looks like a very modern kind of suburban window. So I don't know, these next 5, I don't know if you regard them as Gothic romance. But it's still a beautiful cover, and I'm glad I got it. The paperback itself is in great shape. The next one is Dangerous to Me, and you can see there that there's a modern to that day typewriter and a light. So that's is this Gothic romance? I don't know, but the style of the painting and the mood is obviously Gothic. So I'd be curious if Nick or even Bob Freeman from The Occult Detective would know more about it, if they could let me know if this is a Gothic romance. Ray Foley, when I look her up, she's regarded as a romantic suspense writer. So the next book is called Call It Accident. Now that could very, very well be regarded as a Gothic romance cover. There's nothing modern behind her, and it's got the classic woman in her nightgown, in the dark landscape. This book, unfortunately, all the pages came away from the spine. They were all separate from the spine. I had to re-glue it, and hopefully it holds together, but it is a beautiful paperback. I love that cover. It seems to be holding up okay. So I'll just cross my fingers and wait and see if that does okay. The next one is called Reckless Lady by Ray Foley. These are beautiful covers. I think the artist, I'm trying to read his name. It looks like the artist's name is Blossom. I'm not sure if I'm reading that right, but that's inside an apartment by the looks of it. You can see the apartment door with the peephole there and the chain locks on the door. So that's in an apartment. Again, is that Gothic romance? I don't know. It's just a beautiful cover. And then we have the last of the 5 from Ray Foley is this one called Nightmare House, with that very dark background with her in her colorful red dress. But that's a New York City brownstone behind her. But again, very, very dark atmosphere, very moody. I would read all the premise for these books, but that would take too long for the video. But those are beautiful books, almost in perfect condition except for that one. So I'm happy to get them. But I did get more. And these I'm pretty sure specifically are regarded as Gothic romance. First of all, we started out with Phyllis A. Whitney, and this is called The Red Carnelian, and this is just called Gothic Paperback Library, and that's by Phyllis A. Whitney. I've got more Phyllis A. Whitney on my shelves. My mom was a big fan, so I got some of my Phyllis A. Whitney paperbacks from her. But that's a lovely cover. These next two are by a writer named Dorothy Eden. And this is a Fawcett Crest book. This is called Dark Water by Dorothy Eden with that lovely cover. And this is called A Suspense Romance Adventure, a tale of love and peril in a haunted old English mansion. And it doesn't get much more Gothic than that. And the next one is by Dorothy Eden again. This is called The Sleeping Bride. And this is an ace book. Mansion in the background, woman in her nightdress. Very Gothic. I'm happy to get these because they're beautiful. Now, Nick showed this one on his last book haul video. This is Fear Among the Shadows by Louise Hoffman, and this is an ace paperback, and apparently these are fairly hard to find with the oval outline around the title. Now, when I got this, there was some dried food or something on the cover, and I had to scrape it off, and it took off some of the cover, unfortunately, but still, that's a beautiful cover. And I'm going to keep my eye out for more of these. And these are numbered, I think. This is number 2, an Ace Gothic. So, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for more of them. Now, this one is called Pride of Menace by Anne Forman Barron. And this is a Fawcett Gold Medal book. And she's in some kind of a greenhouse. You see a mansion in the background and a man standing there. And the greenhouse looks like it's decayed and falling apart. So that's very cool. And these next two are large type easy reader editions. This is by Charlotte Armstrong, Mistress of Romantic Suspense, A Dram of Poison. And this, I do believe, is a Berkeley Medallion book with that beautiful cover. And last of the Gothics I have is by Dorothy Osborne, and this is called A Queen-Size Gothic, Whispering Willows. Beautiful cover, large, easy-to-read type. Marcia came to the Willows to find her forgotten past, but found instead a bizarre curse of tragedy and terror. So that's it for Gothics. I do have more to show you, not Gothics, but other books that I got in various hauls in the month of November. This one is an old Popular Library shorty paperback. The spine is rolled, but I didn't want to leave that back at the store, called Blood on Her Shoe by Medora Field. And it just looked intriguing. Looks like they got caught up to no good there on the cover. I might read this one this month for Deadly December. I'm not too sure. But looks interesting. And I got another Edge book. This is number 16. I am reading more of them, and I'm trying to pick up more regardless of how I felt about book number 2 in the series, which was not a good reading experience, but I have enjoyed the rest of them that I've read in the series, so I will be picking up more, and that's a very cool cover. That's number 16, I do believe, called The Final Shot by George G. Gilman. His real name was Terry Harknett. And I bought a Louis L'Amour that I have on my shelf already with a different cover, but I picked this one up. This is the High Graders. And that's just a cool cover. So I picked that one up. Now, I have a few others here. I picked up a couple of mysteries. Now, this is a Minion G. Eberhardt, The Chiffon Scarf. Now, you used to see her books everywhere. I've never read her. But again, my mom used to read her all the time. My mom was quite the mystery reader, and she got into all these old mysteries. So I decided to pick up 2 of these lovely paperbacks. And the next one is Call After Midnight. And Minion G. Eberhardt here is labeled as the Mistress of Mystery. And I got an anthology series called Women on the Edge, and this one features a V.I. Warshawski story by Sarah Paretsky, but it's got quite a few good writers in here. I love finding these anthologies. I have a ton of them on my shelf, and I love short stories. So we've got a Sarah Paretsky, we've got a John D. MacDonald story in here, a story by Howard Brown, Barbara Michaels, Lauren D. Estelman, Ed Gorman, Barbara Collins, Bill Pronzini, Bill Kreider, Max Allen Collins, Nancy Picard, Wayne D. Dundee, Richard T. Chismar, and Marcia Mueller. So, yeah, that's, I'm looking forward to getting into the stories in this one. I have a lot of anthologies to read, but and I'm going to be reading quite a few short stories for Deadly December, and maybe I'll delve into this one this month. And we have a Del Shannon book called With a Vengeance, and this features his police officer Luis Mendoza, and he's a lieutenant, I think, in the LAPD. And I've heard of these books. I've never read a Del Shannon, as far as I can remember. Maybe I've read a short story, but I've heard about them for a long time, and apparently they're pretty good. So I found this one at the thrift store. So I'll give it a shot. And we have a couple of the Agatha Christies that I picked up. Nice old paperbacks. There was a ton of them there, but a lot of them weren't in good shape, so I didn't pick them up. But this is Mr. Parker Pine, Detective. And that's a Dell paperback, and that lovely, lovely cover. I love that style of cover. I don't know who the artist is, but you see those a lot. And then we have Murder in the Calais Coach, and that was the original title for Murder on the Orient Express. And this is a pocketbook from, this copy is from 1960, I do believe. And here you see a little logo there a Hercule Poirot murder mystery, which is kind of cool. So those are some. Now, this next one was a very good find, and this is the book to King Kong. Now, it doesn't have the writer anywhere on the cover or the spine, but inside, I do believe it says King Kong, conceived by Edgar Wallace and Marion C. Cooper, novelization by Delos W. Lovelace, and that's a Futura Publications. First published in Great Britain, 1977. The copyright is 1932. So I don't know if that's the same edition as the other King Kong novelizations. I don't know that much about it, but I love the cover, and I'm happy to have it. That's just a very cool book, King Kong. And we have I've got a few of these on my shelf, so I found a couple I didn't have. Craig Johnson, The Dark Horse, and he's a sheriff in Absaroka County. And here we have Hell is Empty, featuring his Longmire character. These are really good books. He's a good writer. I really enjoy them, so I was happy to find those. And of course, you know, as it says on the cover, it was a series on Netflix. Started out on A&E. Netflix took it over, and we watched the series. I enjoyed it, but I love the books a lot more. And this one is the Agatha Christie Companion. Nice, hefty volume. The Complete Guide to Agatha Christie's Life and Work. So it talks about her, and it does a pretty in-depth look into all of her books. And I think it gets into stage and film as well. So that's just nice to have. If you're an Agatha Christie fan, very cool. I love this kind of stuff. And I have a couple more to go. I think I showed this to you in another video, but I started reading this one for Deadly December. Like I said, I read The Black Mountain yesterday. I just started this today, so I'll probably finish it probably tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll do more of an in-depth review on that one later at another time. This one here was a nice hardcover find. This is Kipling, selection of his stories and poems. And this is edited by John Beecroft, I guess. It's a double-day book. But I have a couple of other books from them about different authors, but there's always nice artwork in these. That's just lovely. And there's lots of Rudyard Kipling stories in here. I love him. And there's some nice black and white artwork, which I'll try to find some for you here. It's got the deckled edges, so it's not easy to flip through. It's got drawings like that. Nice pen and ink drawings, which are very nice. So that's just a nice volume to have. I know some people like deckled edges, so that's a nice book. And that's Rudyard Kipling. And last but not least, I grabbed another Conan Doyle book. This is called The Bedside Conan Doyle, and it features A Study in Scarlet, The Return of Sherlock Holmes, and there's Hound of the Baskervilles, and there's some Professor Challenger stories in here. So I recently read for that November, I read The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle, which features Professor Challenger. So I'm kind of curious to get into the other stories that feature the character. So that's all I have today. I just wanted to do another book haul. Like, we don't have enough book hauls on BookTube, but I enjoy them, and I enjoy sharing my books with you. So until next time, I will talk to you soon. I hope you're joining in Deadly December. I know Steve likes to think that he's the lone wolf doing the non-event, but I think the more people that read mysteries in December, I think the better. It's I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm gonna dive in with both feet. So until next time, you guys take care. I will talk to you soon. You keep reading.